Welcome to C Suite Sherpas, where we shine a spotlight on business experts and resources that you should know. I'm your host, Ron Partridge, and today I'm excited to have Shauna Bryce, founder of Bryce Legal, with us. Welcome, Shauna.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
So Bryce Legal helps lawyers be successful, happy, and fulfilled by offering best-in-class career services specifically for lawyers,
Mhm.
so they can really give them good advice that really pertains more to them, not just generic. With that, Shauna will jump right in. You can explain to us how that works.
Sure. Well, like you said, that's our mission we really want to help lawyers. So we focus exclusively on lawyers. We're a boutique career services firm. We now have something like 1,100, more than 1,100 client testimonials. So we're very proud of that because, as you can imagine, it is difficult to get that many lawyers to agree on anything. But we've been around more than 20 years, and we do some B2B services, which would be outplacement and training and coaching. The bulk of our services are directly to individual client lawyers who come into us for all types of coaching, development coaching, career coaching, practical skills coaching. And then we also do the writing and job search preparation. So we do interview prep, job search coaching, networking coaching, resumes, LinkedIn profiles, corporate bios, you name it. We do the entire gamut of that.
I've worked with a lot of lawyers in my life, and they're really smart people generally, right? And you don't often think of them of needing this kind of service, but they actually do. So, what are the challenges that you find that they're running into where they need to seek someone like yourself out to say, hey, I need help, I need direction or coaching?
Yeah, so it's really interesting you say that about lawyers because when I first started my business, so again, it was more than 20 years ago, when I first started it, there really were not a lot of coaches for lawyers. I could find almost none, and I was the only one who had a JD and had been a practicing lawyer myself. At that time, a lot of lawyers did not see themselves as needing coaches. More people in business saw that. It was acceptable more on business leaders. But over time, that's really changed. More individual lawyers are realizing I can't do everything, and there are people who know this area better than I do. It may be more effective for me to bring in expert help than to keep floundering around. A big time in my business where that really changed was around the Great Recession in 2008, 2009. And since then, I think, having a coach in law and having a resume writer in law is really become acceptable in a way it hadn't been accepted or understood when I first started. So that has really changed.
What are they struggling with to figure
Yeah.
out in their career?
Okay. So in terms of what their struggles are, it's really a few things. A lot of lawyers struggle with the job search itself. So if they're actively looking, they're struggling with the job search itself. If they've been practicing for a long time, they may not have had to do a job search for a long time. And so they don't know how a job search works in these days. That's happening a lot now with the government lawyer layoffs. A lot of those lawyers have not been on the market looking for a job in a really long time. They've been in federal government for 10 years, 20 years, and they're not familiar with how a job search works or what a resume should look like today or what an effective LinkedIn profile looks like today. So that can be one area that brings people into us. Another area is people who are not necessarily actively looking for a job today or tomorrow, but they really want to make some sort of shift in time over their career, whether that's moving up the ladder or whether that is moving laterally or potentially off track or off the legal sector altogether into a law adjacent space or a different space. So it really falls into those two major buckets, people who are looking for a job and people who want to do well where they are and maybe looking at long-term plans.
Now, when you're engaged with a client, are you assessing them or really understanding their motivators and who they are and trying to guide them into what you guys think would be the best career path based on their, let's say, personal characteristics?
So that's a great question. Think of myself less as trying to guide a client into doing something than being a resource for them. So ultimately, our goal, my goal has always been to help clients make informed decisions. And ultimately, the client is the driver and they know what's best for them. And what we can do is be a partner in helping them make the decisions by helping them think through a problem and asking them questions that maybe they did not think on their own to ask. We provide a sounding board, and then we also provide additional information that client may not have access to, because I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
And we know a lot about just the legal sector. So I think that's another way that we are different as providers is we do focus on lawyers. Everybody on my team has been in law and legal careers for 10 or more years. Most of us were practicing lawyers in a variety of settings. Most of us have direct experience in hiring and developing lawyers, in recruiting. So we bring a lot of different areas of law and legal sector and help clients by having that. So it's not generic advice that a client is getting when they come to us. They're getting very personalized advice and problem solving process. It's very personal to them, but it's also within a very specific context of the legal sector.
Right. So what's the biggest challenge the industry overall? So more lawyers coming in, life expectancy getting longer, and it seems like there's a lot more lawyers. It could be just me, but it seems like there's a lot more. So what are the challenges, let's say, that all these lawyers are facing? Is the market changing? Are the dynamics changing? What's happening?
Yeah, it's interesting because legal hiring environments tend to be conservative and risk averse in their decision making. So law firms are not traditionally, for example, at the forefront of change. They tend to be very slow to change. And so when you see changes in the market, whether it's remote work or whatever it may be, a lot of legal environments will be lagging behind that. They're not leaders in that. So that in itself can create a challenge for individual lawyers because they're often in working in a setting that's a little bit feels constrained or behind the times.
Yeah.
Another challenge can be for lawyers is just to know what opportunities are out there for them. A lot of times people think of lawyers as being just people who work in law firms or just people who work in government. And there's so many other types of roles out there for lawyers to do. Some of them are really cutting edge areas like cybersecurity and AI and machine learning. They can be really expanding areas like that in the most fascinating companies that are out there and working with cutting edge technology, as you said. But a lot of times lawyers don't think about that. And they need a little bit of help being more creative about what the world can offer them and then how they get there.
Yeah. So you mentioned something interesting that all our viewers are normally highly interested in. How is AI going to affect, I think, the whole practice of law? How do you see that affecting it?
Yeah, so it has been affecting it in a lot of ways, and it's really affecting a lot of the entry level roles first, not surprisingly. And it takes AI a little while to get better and better. But some of that started with offshoring jobs. So, for example, if you have doc review in a large scale litigation, and there used to be lots of entry level lawyers or specialists who review documents one by one and entered in their thoughts in a computer program, a lot of that got offshored. And that is more and more becoming areas that are getting turned over to AI, as well as like contract writing, templates, those sorts of things people are looking more at AI to do. So it is really going to impact, I think, how lawyers are trained, because it used to be, again, that was work a lot of lawyers did at the beginning of their careers to give them a foundation to build on. But if they're not doing that, then the question that people are starting to ask is, how are they going to get their foundation for you to build on? Right? So we'll see how that impacts people and how it impacts development and what job opportunities are available.
Now, do you embrace lawyers to, or do you encourage lawyers to embrace AI? And is there an advantage for the lawyers that really can utilize AI productively?
Yeah, I've never been one to stick my head in the sand or advocate that people do that. I mean, the change is coming, the future comes, whether we want it to or not, and whether we choose to participate in it or not. And so it is generally better to try to look ahead and be part of things instead of being the last ones. There are a lot of ways that lawyers are starting to embrace AI, even just sort of as individual people, where they're playing with it more themselves in searches, where they're taking classes on it or continuing legal education just to get more familiar with it. Of course, we see some generational differences sometimes in how quickly people embrace new technologies and want to integrate those new technologies, but it's coming whether we like it or not. With my side on the career services, we're seeing a lot of AI there too. So it'll be interesting to see how it shapes both industries over time. But yes, I absolutely advocate that people embrace the future instead of pretending that it's not coming.
Yeah. Well, I see it as being an opportunity for innovation, and I'm sure lawyers can innovate around how do we use it to, automate our practices and, and kind of like with the advent of the internet, now you see all these online law services that are interesting. So
yeah, I've always been trying to look for ways to embrace technology in our business as well. All of our services are delivered remotely using a ton. And I have been using remote services since I started. That's been more than 20 years now. At that time, it was shocking for people, this idea. And I thought, well, why can't we do it that way? And now, even writing resumes, we do it by screen share. It's real time in screen share instead of the old way where people would take questionnaires or you do interviews. And having clients sit there engaged in how their resume is being developed or how their LinkedIn profile is being developed is absolutely priceless. It's absolutely priceless. So
that's awesome. All right, I'm going to change it up a little bit. I want to give the viewers a chance to get to know you a little bit more personally, not too personally. So what we'll do is we'll have a lightning round. I'll ask you just quick questions. You give me your initial response. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. Coffee or tea?
Okay, let's go. Tea, like Jean-Luc Picard, Earl Grey hot.
Oh, nice. Just like my wife, by the way. Cats or dogs?
I've had both, but I'm a dog person.
Favorite quote or phrase that you think about often?
I often find myself thinking of Langston Hughes's question, what happens to a dream deferred? I've often found that it's just been one of the most provocative questions, and it comes to me often.
Favorite movie or streaming series?
That's a hard one. So one of my all-time favorite movies is The Shawshank Redemption, but of course my less serious all-time favorite movie is Die Hard, which I will also argue is a Christmas movie. So I'm one of those people.
Favorite book?
One of my all-time favorite books is Watership Down. One of my more recent favorite books is N.K. Jemisin's The Broken Arrow trilogy.
Okay. One last question, two-part question. So one bucket list item that you've already accomplished and one bucket list item that you have yet to accomplish.
So one that I've already accomplished is going to the Galapagos. It's been a number of years, but I was happy to be able to go do it. And I would like to go to Antarctica. I've never been, but I really, really want to
go. I've known people that go there, and it's a once in a lifetime thing.
I'm hoping, I have my fingers crossed that I'll make it, but I do know enough that I know that I will need to bring some motion sickness pills because I hear that the water there is very rough.
All right. So final question, most important question. If any of our viewers would like to get a hold of you to collaborate with you, what's the best way to do that?
Two ways. Either just go to our website, so it's brycelegal.com, or they can look me up on LinkedIn and keep me a note there.
All right, Shauna, thank you. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your insights. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.